When we work to find bridge information, which is largely a matter of asking the right questions, our knowledge is expanded in ways that are not possible when we stick with one source. No one source, channeled or otherwise, can bring forth the complete picture of reality. We each have a picture, a piece of it. So although some disagreement is inevitable, part of the value of there being several microchannels is the wide range of material that can come through. Each channel has a unique instrument to offer. I present this material not as the final word on any subject, but as the starting point for thought and discussion. Michael constantly reminds us of the need to self-validate information, no matter what its source. For me, self-validation means that I don't automatically assume that new information is true or false based on my current understanding. I file it under possibly true. I may then play it with as part of my working model of reality, seeing how well it performs. The process of letting ideas about reality prove themselves one way or the other is ongoing. Models of reality are always imperfect. I am constantly refining mine as I receive new and better information. In this spirit, I encourage you to enjoy and make use of the ideas of these pages without assuming them to be perfect renderings of reality. Maybe they are close, but whether they are or not, they are meaningless to you unless you make them your own. Even if the Michael teachings provide amazing and extremely helpful models of reality, as I think they do, models are not the same as reality. Reality is far more complex and simple than models, including the Michael teachings, could ever fully convey. If models are reasonable facsimiles of reality, they can promote understanding by putting reality in terms to which we can relate. Ideally, that helps us experience reality more fully. The point is reality, not the models. It's important not to take models too seriously. Debating models might be interesting and useful, but there are ideas in the Michael models, as in most other models of reality, that we ultimately will never be able to prove conclusively. For example, one could probably not prove Michael's concept that the universe has 7 planes of creation, even if the number 7 makes sense in light of other teachings. What if there were 6 planes or 8? Although it is useful to have a sense of our larger context, what cannot be validated is probably not essential to a good model's function in our lives. The measure of an idea's worth is the extent to which it expands us and helps us live more fully, which is to say, help us experience greater reality. In a sense, every Michael student is using at least a slightly different model, because every Michael student understands the teachings at least slightly differently, even while using the same or similar terms. This could be said of adherence to any body of thought. To some degree, the Michael teachings are strong enough to lend themselves to different interpretations without losing their integrity. However, in general, there is widespread agreement on the fundamental framework and definitions. When major differences from that arise, they often stem from misunderstanding, but not necessarily. It's good to keep an open mind. Otherwise, there is the danger of becoming dogmatic, opposed to questioning established ideas. It is unwise to assume that any ideas are free from errors, misinterpretations, and limitations. Dogma paints us into a corner, limiting our growth. In any case, if a model works for the person using it, that may be the most important thing, even if It is no longer Michael's model as it is commonly known. Although channeled material does not originate in the channel, the channeled entity must make use of the contents of the channel's consciousness and to some degree is limited by it. Transmitting information foreign to a channel is difficult. Channeling is a collaborative art as well as a science, involving translation through many levels of consciousness. Although the material I channel is generally well beyond what I could produce on my own, it is mine and I take full responsibility for it. Some channeled passages need little editing, while others require extensive revision. Some editing was necessary simply because of my limitations as a channel and the difficulties inherent in extemporaneously translating complex concepts from the invisible to the visible, from the invisible to the visible. In addition, much of the material was originally spoken. Speaking and writing are different. For example, repetition that is helpful when speaking may be grating in print. I was guided through the writing and editing process, and I asked Michael for clarification as needed. I also channeled the names of my clients to protect their privacy. After more than 25 years, I still find the Michael teachings fascinating and nourishing. I continue to learn and use them in my daily life. I was delighted when a friend pointed out the acronym for Journey of Your Soul is JOYS. I did not consciously intend it, but I hope that it fits and that the insights and information are not only interesting, but will support you on the journey of your soul. Shepherd Hoodwin, November 12, 2012, Laguna Niguel, California. Introduction by Michael. This book is a helpful clarification not only of many points in the Michael teachings, but also of fundamental truths of life. We appreciate the care that the author has taken to be specific so as to illuminate important distinctions which tend to get lost when too much understanding is presumed. As we have overseen the preparation of this manuscript, we have not felt it warranted to intervene too much. The author has been engaged in his own process of discovery, asking questions that he might not have asked had we guided him with too strong a hand. As you read, we expect that questions will also arise in you. Questions are the beginning of knowledge. It is a good idea to learn to be as content with questions as you are with answers. As the author states, nothing in this book is the final word on any subject. However, we are confident that if you appreciate the Michael teachings, a lively interchange with this volume will lead you to a deeper and more productive knowledge of it. Your self-validation is your best ally in this. We support our students in further establishing a direct connection with us, whether or not they channel. In reading a Michael book, your thoughts are naturally with us. Opening to an energetic connection through those thoughts can increase your intuitive ability to use this material in your life. Michael. How I began channeling Michael. What is your role? An introduction to the Michael teachings. The cliché icebreaker used to be, what's your sign? In the near future, someone attractive might glide up to you and say something like, Hi, I'm a young warrior in passion mode. What's your role? Role, mode, and soul age are part of the Michael teachings, a fascinating channeled body of information about how we set up our lives. According to Michael, each of us is an eternal spark, journeying from the Tao and back again in an adventure of exploration and creativity. The Tao, a Chinese word pronounced Tao, is the dimensionless ground of all being. At each step along the way, we make choices that shape our experience. After committing to a series of lifetimes on a planet, we choose a role, which is our primary style or way of being. There are 7 roles. Warriors are persuasive, single-minded doers, often with a hearty sense of humor and sometimes the subtlety and strength of a Mack truck. They seek challenge. Kings are the large picture counterparts of warriors. They are charismatic leaders, organizing others to action, sometimes in a tyrannical manner. They seek mastery. Scholars, rather than being oriented towards doing, are a resource for others. They study and assimilate, intellectually or otherwise. Sometimes they are overly theoretic and distanced from life. They seek knowledge. Artisans create what is new, whether in art, hairstyles, computers. They are often warm and playful and sometimes out of touch with reality. They seek originality. Sages express and communicate. They are witty, friendly, entertaining, and sometimes loud and verbose. They seek insight. Priests inspire others through their compassion and vision. They sometimes get carried away and take too much on faith or try to force their beliefs on others. They seek what is highest. Servers support and nurture others, sometimes in a self-denying and victimized way. They seek the well-being of all. Our role is an attribute of our essence, or soul, and therefore characterizes us in every lifetime we have on earth. Our essence has several other attributes, such as frequency, speed of vibration, and male-female energy ratio. Most terms here are explored at length in later chapters and are defined in the glossary. We also have permanent relationships, such as our essence twins, twin soul, and task companion, and we are part of larger groupings, such as entities and cadres. When planning an individual lifetime, we choose several personality attributes, overleaves, that overlay our essence. They include our goal, primary motivator, mode, dominant way of operating, attitude, how we tend to view life, and center, the part of self from which we react. We change our set of overleaves from lifetime to lifetime in order to give us a variety of experiences. Just as there are 7 roles, there are 7 of each of the overlays. The number 7 comes up often in the Michael teachings and in metaphysical teachings in general. The young warrior mentioned in the beginning was in passion mode. Therefore, his modus operandi was to act passionately. Passion mode pours itself out. Reserve, its opposite, pulls itself in. Power exudes authority, while Caution moves with deliberation. Aggression is dynamic. Perseverance is persistence. Observation is neutral. Our overleaves are part of a comprehensive life plan that we create for each lifetime. Our life plan also includes agreements with other souls to help us carry out that plan, as well as a life task, which is our plan's centerpiece, the most important thing we want to accomplish. As we progress from lifetime to lifetime, we experience a developmental progress that takes us through the 5 soul ages on the physical plane, each of which has 7 levels. 2 more soul ages, transcendental and infinite, are experienced after finishing the physical plane, again making 7 total. Infant souls focus on survival. Baby souls learn about structure and rules. Young souls are interested in having maximum impact on their outer world. Mature souls work on relationships and emotions. Old souls look at things in terms of their larger context. Mature and old souls are those most likely to be drawn consciously to spirituality outside the mainstream. No soul age is better than any other, just as a 40-year-old isn't better than a 25-year-old. A 40-year-old simply has different needs and perspectives from a 25-year-old. To develop, we need all the steps. In fact, nothing in the Michael teachings is of itself good or bad. Everything can be used either positively, constructively, based in love, or negatively, destructively, based in fear. Michael defines positive and negative poles for each role and overleaf. Having names for them can help us zero in on them and stay in the positive poles. Even our inevitable experiences in our negative poles with our obstacles, blind spots, can help us grow. Furthermore, understanding soul ages and the rest of the Michael teachings can help us understand other people and foster greater acceptance. This is an important step towards unconditional love for oneself and others, which is the highest goal of life, according to Michael. Let's look again at the warrior. Being a young soul, this person is oriented toward outwardly achievement and doesn't tend to be introspective. Being a warrior, he or she is a fighter, blunt, protective, and productive. Passion mode tells us that he pulls out all the stops and goes to the nth degree. In short, he is a powerhouse. He is probably a successful achiever and highly sexual. Suppose you're a mature scholar in reserve mode. In some ways, the warrior is your opposite. This warrior is your opposite, and opposites usually attract, or at least carry a certain fascination. Scholars and warriors are a classic combination. However, being a mature soul, your emphasis on relationships rather than worldly achievement. You wonder how much you would be able to share with this young warrior. You take your time studying the situation like any good scholar as you fend off his advances. You explain that since you are in reserve mode, you appreciate self-control and your new friend is impressed by your class. However, he looks like too much fun to pass up, and you decide to investigate him further. That is, until a good-looking old sage is in observation mode ambles by. Incidentally, I am an old sage in observation mode. Obviously, this is a light-hearted way of looking at the Michael teachings, but this material can bring profound insights and be highly useful. The most definite way to find out your role and other Michael information is to have your Michael chart channeled by a Michael channel. But you can also study the teachings through this and other books, as well as sites such as michaelteachings.com and summerjoy.com, and try to discern your Michael traits yourself. As we move into unprecedented changes in our world, new and better tools are needed for meeting the challenges. The Michael teachings are one such tool.